In this video, we'll build a complete authentication system from scratch, using Spring Boot 3.4.4 for the backend, React.js for the frontend, JWT for secure token-based login, and MySQL as our database. Let's get started. Let's start by registering a new user. We fill out the username and password fields, and when we click register, the backend processes the request and returns a JWT token. We're then redirected to the home page, which is a protected route. Now let's test the login with incorrect credentials. We enter a wrong password, and the backend responds with an error. Our front end catches that and displays a friendly message letting the user know the login failed. Let's try again, this time with the correct credentials. We enter the username and password, hit login, and instantly get redirected to the home page with a valid JWT saved in local storage. We've also made the sign up and login pages easy to switch between. A user who already has an account can quickly go to the login screen, and new users can jump back to sign up with a single click. This completes our full-stack authentication demo using Spring Boot, React.js, JWT, and MySQL. Fast, secure, and production-ready. Before we dive into the code, let's generate our Spring Boot backend using Spring Initializer. Head over to start.spring.io. We'll keep the project type as Gradle, language as Java, and set the Spring Boot version to 3.4.4. Under project metadata, we'll set the group to com.CodeWithAi and the artifact to auth. This will create our base package as com.CodeWithAi.auth. Now for the dependencies, we'll add Spring Web to build our REST API, Spring Security for authentication, Spring Data JPA for database access, MySQL driver, and Lombok to reduce boilerplate code. Once we've selected everything, we click Generate, unzip the file, and open the project in IntelliJ. That's it. We're ready to start coding. Now let's set up our database. We open the MySQL CLI and run the command create database CodeWithAi_DB to create a new database for our project. Then we switch to it using use CodeWithAi_DB. This is the database Spring Boot will connect to for storing user information. In the build Gradle file, we include dependencies for Spring Web, Spring Security, JPA, MySQL, and Lombok. We also add the JWT library to generate and validate JWT tokens for authentication. In application properties, we name our application auth, set the MySQL connection URL and credentials, and enable Hibernate auto update. We also define our JWT secret key and set the token expiration to 1 hour. Let's start by creating our user entity. It's mapped to a users table with 3 fields: an auto-generated ID, a unique username, and a password. We use Lombok to generate boilerplate code like getters and constructors. Next, we create the user repository interface. It extends JPA repository to handle database operations and adds a method to find users by username, which we'll need during login. Now we define our DTOS register request and login request both hold a username and password. Auth response simply returns a JWT token after successful login or registration. The JWT class handles everything related to tokens. It generates JWTs using a secret key, extracts the username from a token, and validates whether a token is still valid. This ensures secure authentication across our app. The auth service handles both registration and login. When registering, it encodes the user's password and saves them to the database, then returns a JWT. During login, it uses Spring Security's Authentication Manager to validate the credentials and generate a token if they're correct. The auth controller exposes 2 endpoints, /register and /login. It delegates the logic to the auth service and returns a JWT on success. We also enable at cross-origin to allow requests from our front end during development. The security config class sets up our Spring Security configuration. We allow unauthenticated access to /API/auth/**, and protect all other routes. It also registers our custom JWT filter, sets up password encoding with bcrypt, and configures stateless session management. The JWT filter runs before every request and checks for a valid JWT in the authorization header. If the token is valid, it sets the authentication context so the user is treated as logged in. This keeps protected endpoints secure without storing session data. The custom user detail service loads a user from the database by username. It's used by Spring Security to retrieve user details during authentication, and it assigns a default user role. Now let's set up our React frontend. We use Create React App to scaffold the project. Then we install Axios for HTTP requests and React Router DOM for navigation. Here we configure Axios with our backend's base URL and set up an interceptor to automatically attach the JWT token from local storage to every request. This ensures secure communication with protected endpoints. This is our sign-up page. We store the username and password in state, and on form submission, we send a post request to the backend. If successful, we save the JWT token in local storage and redirect the user to the home page. We also include a button to navigate to the login screen. This is our login page. We collect the user's credentials and send a post request to the backend. If authentication is successful, we store the JWT and redirect to the home page. If login fails, we show an error message. There's also a quick link back to the sign-up page. The home page is a protected route that users see after logging in. It displays a welcome message and includes a logout button that clears the token and redirects the user back to the login page. In app.js, we configure our routes using React Router. We have pages for sign-up, login, and a protected home page. The private route component checks for a token and redirects unauthenticated users to the login screen. By default, we route users to the sign-up page. First, make sure to start the backend server, then open a terminal in the front-end project folder and run npm start to launch the React app. And that's it. A complete full-stack authentication system using Spring Boot, React, JWT, and MySQL. If you found this helpful, give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment on what you'd like to build next. Here on Code with AI.